Okay, guys, here's another video with Anton Daniels. He's gonna start off with introductions as you usually do. That's a good thing. Remember introductions. I'm kind of mixed with introductions depending on the video and what type of videos you're going to post to YouTube content you're gonna make. But this one here is dealing with reflection, self-reflection. That I would say the overarching is self-reflection and being able to recognize your some things inside you. He used several examples. His father, as for example, so he works at a power plant or something of that nature. He talks about another guy he knew of, and he actually talks about he likes to use like to use hypotheticals. I understand. I use hypotheticals though in situations, analogies, but hey, everyone has their own preferences. But he talks about that. Then he self reflects on himself. So what I get overarching this video, I'm gonna say it's about self-reflection. So this reaction video is going to be on self-reflection, what Anton Daniels is saying, and it's true. His dad gave him an old school quote that's been around thousands of years. I assume I know that quote. I heard that quote from old man, my dad, before other men, and then rappers and talk about you are who you are. He talks about uh, movies he's seen in the past, my movies and everything. He reflects a lot on his life. This is 11 years ago, Anton Daniels. So it's interesting to hear what he got to say. Without further ado, let's talk. Let's listen to what he had to say. But this one in particular is on self-reflection. You reflecting on yourself. Take your time, take your space, and find out your strengths and weaknesses, and reflect on it and don't be in denial and be ready to change it if it's a negative and evaluate. And he talks about reputation. I'm not really. I respect Anton James in his opinion on reputation. I don't hold reputation that way myself because reputation changes up on an individual. You only can present yourself the way you are and who you want, as he talks about that. But people define your reputation, in my opinion. I know Anton, he's a solid man. He's just another person. Oh, I know Anton, so it can change depending on the person. But if you hold yourself accountable for your action, then you are who you are. But that's just my opinion, and I don't lean heavy on reputation. But it's the brother seems to lean and have his purpose behind it, and I respect it. Without further ado, let's go into this video.
What's going on? It's Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I would like to talk about reputation, personal growth, and making the effort to change who you are in everything that you do. One of the things that stuck with me throughout my childhood and all the way up until today is something my father I used to see him tell a lot of people. He used to say that you are who you are no matter where you go. And I never really quite figured out exactly what he was talking about until, I don't know, I would say roughly 2 to 3 years ago. And at the time, he was a supervisor at a particular auto manufacturing company. And he would see certain people doing certain things, and he would already be able to notice exactly who was going to do what and who was going to make it and who wasn't. And I always seen that as a talent, but it was really just the insight to be able to recognize exactly who and what a person was and what their
What his dad was saying, I think what his dad was really indicating, his dad had a spirit, we call it in the religious sector, the spirit of discernment. He had the ability the gift he had was he could read people, and that's a good gift to have, and he used it in his career. And that's wise. That's what I describe as a spirit of discernment. He has a law of discernment, law of insight of an individual, as Anton Jones stated. We would call it insight, or some people call you have an intuition. You can read, you can sense somebody. And his dad didn't work at a power plant, but worked at an industrial business, and was a supervisor, and he could read people, that he could just their behavior, their mannerism, how they move on the job, and see if they're gonna last or they're going not gonna be there long. But that's and I can imagine sometimes that his dad probably got some people wrong sometimes because there's no, like we said, there's nothing earlier in other videos. There's no one's perfect. But overall, he's a high percentage accurate caller. So that's good to learn from your father, and it gives you insight. But be open to development, as he said, personal growth. So let's move on with this and see what else Antonio got to say.
Were going to do prior to them even doing the job that they were doing, just by looking at how they did things, how they did other things. So I'm just going to use a real life example because I don't really like using hypotheticals. It's a particular individual that I know that can't keep a job. Because I don't work with the individual, I'll never really get the true story of exactly what's going on, but the same scenario plays out regardless of the job that they acquire. It's really a cycle of them getting a job, right? And when they get that job, they hold on to it for a little while, and then for whatever reason, they get canned. The conclusion that I came to was relative to exactly what my father was saying, is that it doesn't matter about the job in particular or the details, but a person that's going to thrive is going to thrive regardless of the environment that they're in. And of course, there are certain details or situations that would enable people to be a little bit more successful in certain situations and not. But for the most part, you'll generally find that people have the same outcome regardless of the environment that they're in. So if you're having issues, or if it's something that you need to change, or you recognize a pattern in yourself, it doesn't matter if you move from New York all the way to California or from Michigan all the way down to Florida. The outcome will be the same unless you evaluate exactly who you are. So what we're talking about here again is taking personal responsibility, evolving as far as your reputation, because I personally feel that reputation is one of the most important things that you can have, because I love mob movies, I love Casino, I love all of that, Goodfellas. A lot of mob movies, or a lot of crime.
See, this is young Anton, and he has a lot of youthful knowledge. He has a lot of things he advised from his lifespan. At this time, I think it's 30 some years on planet Earth. He's a smart young man, very credible. Like as you get older, I think if you look back on it, he'll see some of the things, some growth from where he is. And he talks about personal growth. This whole section is on personal growth, and everybody's not on the same level. Everybody don't have the same outcomes. Everyone has the same old school doom. Person told me was a different saying, but this is my saying. Everybody have the same starting point from the womb to the tomb. Everybody come from the womb. You know, C-section or natural birth, but you're coming from the womb. Everybody get the same initial start, but the life patterns, the way you live, the way you grow up, it shifts who you are. It gives you your personality. You have your personality, but you form your personality through your life experience. If you're born in the ghetto, if you're born in a suburban area, there's going to be a different life experience, regardless. Or it could be a similar life experience depending on what your nucleus family around you. So personal growth is definitely a key factor in your development, and you can shift. And he's shedding light on that, and I totally agree with what that person might have not been uh, had a good life, and it's good. And that person have to reflect on that, as you said. You know, wherever you go, you are who you are, and you're gonna be that person when you get there. So if you don't deal with what's going on internally inside of you, then you're gonna repeat the same pattern. And that's what this individual is doing. And he's shedding light on that. Hopefully in the future, I would think, is to have other people not go that pattern, or get counseling, therapy, life coach, read some books, try to adjust and grow and develop from who you are. If it's a negative point, try to change the negative to a positive. It's up to the individual, I think, in the long run. But that's the individual path, and everybody's not in the same space. Everybody don't have the same walk of life. You have the same start. You get what I'm trying to say now? Back to where I said it's the same start, but you ain't got the same walk of life. And that's the truth. Let's continue on with Anton Daniels.
Organizations would always say you're only as good as your word, right? So it kind of makes sense. That's why I'm always striving to improve the reputation that I have with other people. More importantly, it's just I'm always continuing to evolve. So essentially, the way that some people may have viewed me back 10 years ago is certainly not the way that I want them to view me today. We're evolving creatures, but people generally have in their mind the last thing that they remember. So what we have to do is continuously evolve. Even things that we see differently, we have to communicate that. We have to help people to understand that, take me for what I am now, and not just from our speech, but from our actions. So we have to show differently, and we have to be consistent. One of the keys to personal growth and managing your reputation is being consistent in everything that you do. So if I'm consistently evolving, then I'm consistently getting better. People that are one way in one aspect of their lives, it's a reflection in other aspect of their lives. So take a person that's always late, right? And this person is going to be late on their job. They're going to be late to functions, to events, to dates. They'll be late to church. They're generally the
So I have a pause right there. See, Anton Daniels is talking about. Because he's talking personal self and another person's behavior in the workplace. So you got two. He's talking about personal growth, and he's evaluating individually evaluating himself. He's actually reflecting right now. That's when I pause right now. He's reflecting on his life and what he wants, reputation, and what he would say 10 years ago. He was not going to be the same 10 years later. He don't want people to see him the same. Um, I think instead of reputation, I think another word would be relationships. Because if if I take you, if I take in time anybody over from here and I take you to Paris, nobody gonna know you was in Paris unless you have a digital platform. But in general, if we're talking about individual, who you are is who you are. On that side of personal growth, reputation doesn't precede you; it precedes you around the people you know and who you are. He's speaking on 2 points: the reputation of the people in your community that knows you, and your personal identified reputation to who you are, your reputation inside of yourself. And I think that's relational and your internal compass, who you are. And I think he's just coming across a little different because when he give example, it actually clarifies my point on what I'm saying, what he's trying to indicate. Um, I'm not changed the brother's words. I said what he is. I'm just reacting to his relationships. I'm gonna be, if I'm a hard worker, I'm a hard worker. If I go to Paris, I'm gonna work hard over there. If I'm in Hawaii, I'm gonna work hard there. People see me and say, "Oh, that's a hard worker." That's who I am. So people will know me from that everywhere I go. That's my personality. That's who I am. Now I will be building a relationship each where I go, but that's when I get to a new area, no one's gonna know me, no one's gonna know my reputation. I'm out to start back over. Unless with today's technology you have a digital footprint, then they can look you up and review you and get a picture of you. And that's a platform you can use. But if he's talking about from a personal standpoint, when I go somewhere else, people going that's relational. That's more relational and developing a relationship and your reputation with that individual. It's true, but it's expensive, I would say. But he has a major point. Let's continue.
same way across the board. And you can use that example in anything. You could take a person that's a risk taker. They're going to be a risk taker, whether they're down at the casino or whether they're married and they just need to test the waters, or people that put themselves in positions that would compromise their ability to think, a particular way or think logically. Generally that type of person displays those same type of characteristics regardless of the environment that they're in, whether they're at work or whether it's personal. Kind of sort of pay attention to the, people that are around you and the habits that they form. But then more importantly, after you do that, pay attention to exactly, what your habits are and whether they're good or bad and whether you need to evolve with that. And then how you can consistently display, those characteristics, the positive ones, and then continue.
I think this young man, so this ain't the same Anton Daniels that we talked to today in 2025. This is 11 years ago, so this is 2020. I mean, this is 2013, 2013, 2014. So um, we're talking to a different Anton now, because you can see he's thinking as he's speaking. He's thinking in his mind. He's going through the change. He's read books. I could sense that he talks about personal growth. He's learned. He's developed. He's grown as a young man. He is a young man. He's in his 30s now. He's a young man. So he's growing. He's evolving to who he is. And so he's speaking from that perspective. And I respect that. See, I like that. And he's passing this on to people of his generation in the present time. He don't have his mentor there or someone that's guiding him, or he's not letting you know he have a mentor. It's just his dad, which he have his dad in his life, and he's elevating from there. So it's a good thing. The young man is speaking some wisdom, but you can see he's learning to it at this stage, and it's a good thing. I really like this young man.
To further your reputation in the eyes of others, so that your word does carry weight, so that you are transformative in your conversation. You can change the way people think. I hope that they help you and that you become a better person because of it. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, you can hit me up. You know how to find me. AntonDaniels.com. I check you out. Peace.
So there you go, another one down. Now this is in a relationship, personal growth, development, reflection, self-reflection, and being accountable for that, and being able to adjust and grow. And if I didn't use examples, use statements from his father. He's talking about his life. He's talking about a guy he know. He gives you three scenarios, three main scenarios for this video, and he's discussing. But the overarching is uh, personal development, personal growth. But the key factor, the main arching key factor, is self-reflection. You got to self-reflect on you, and people don't have that skill set. If you don't know this word, look it up, define it, understand it. Look at two different definitions. Look at the Webster Dictionary. Look at the Merriam Dictionary. Look at Oxford Dictionary. Look at several different dictionaries. Give two different. Look at the Encyclopedia. Look at different definitions. They give you an expansive way of viewing English definition, American English definition of self-reflection. And then from there, write a couple of little sentences out, little paragraphs out, and reflect it. And then it gives you a better understanding. So as you further go into it, then you go to Google and you look at more information on self-reflection from a psychologist, from a sociologist, you just you build your knowledge, you build your awareness, and then you grow. You find books on self-reflection. There's all type of material out there. At this, there's so much knowledge out there now to help you grow personal growth. And that's where the overarching is personal growth. The main key factor on the personal growth is self-reflection, and he gave me examples, and he's talking about his own self. So this is good information.